Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Does your team know what you consider to be non-negotiable? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so that you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week, we dive into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. This week, our topic is perhaps one that most of us know without question, but we probably never said it out loud or written it down: your team performance standards. You may have already noticed a pattern in the topics we're focusing on right out of the gate on this podcast. Today's topic is the 7th topic we've discussed since I restarted this podcast, and each one of them have focused on establishing the expectations you have for your business. We started with setting your compelling vision, the expectation you have for your business of the future. Then we covered hiring great employees, where we discussed how to set the expectations for anyone who might want to join your team. Next, we focused on your ideal customer, where we outlined how to set the expectations when meeting with a prospect who may someday become one of your customers. The following week, I shared 2 compelling stories to help you set the expectations for how to serve others. We called it your purpose. Then we turned our attention to creating high expectations when onboarding new team members. And then last week, I challenged you to set your expectations even higher when thinking about how to engage with your customers. If you missed any of these episodes, I'd strongly suggest you take the time to go back and listen to each one of them. I covered these first on purpose, to make sure you're setting a solid foundation on which to build your ideal business. Without these foundational building blocks, you'll struggle to maintain your focus and your footing when times get difficult. Now, continuing with the theme of setting your standards, I want to turn our attention today to setting your team performance expectations. Let me start by asking you the opening question again. Does your team know what you consider to be non-negotiable? This is not a trick question, and I know, even without you telling me, that my question doesn't say anything about setting performance expectations. Or does it? After working with hundreds of business owners, I've come to the realization that the old adage, "you get what you tolerate," is by far the most decisive indicator of what I will call performance standards, performance expectations. That's why one of the very first questions I ask a business owner is, does your team know what you consider to be non-negotiable? I want to know what they're not willing to tolerate. Their answer gives me a strong indication of where they draw the line when it comes to performance. Oftentimes, I will hear things like, "I don't tolerate stealing," "I don't tolerate lying," or "I don't tolerate cheating." After this, many times it gets pretty quiet. They haven't thought much beyond the basics. And as you can imagine, what I'm thinking is, well, the bar's set so low that only a criminal would have a hard time getting over it. And that's certainly not high enough to help you build a strong, profitable, long-lasting business. So our goal today is to fix that. And on a quick side note, as I was preparing for this recording, a senior manager for a client came in to talk to me, and they were frustrated about how others in the business were so willing to tolerate poor performers. It was making their life miserable. They were finding it hard for their team to demonstrate outstanding performance while others in the business were allowed to skate on poor performance. And so it hit me at that moment that this is not just an issue for those who are doing poorly in your business who aren't meeting your standards. It's also an issue for those who are your best performers, because it frustrates them to see others who are willing to do less and get by with it. So today I want to share with you a 5-step process that I would recommend that will help you get crystal clear on your non-negotiables, those things that you absolutely will not live without in your business. Here's step 1. Simply write down those things that bug the crap out of you. If it really bugs you when somebody shows up even a few minutes late, write that on your list. If hearing the phone rings for the 5th, 6th, or 7th ring, if that drives you nuts, write it down. If hearing that someone is bad-mouthing a fellow coworker behind their backs and that makes you fume with madness, add it to the list. If you can't stand to see a customer wait while someone's stocking the shelves, add it to the list. By the way, this may be a great way to get out some of your frustration. Some find this exercise very therapeutic, and I've had some business owners come up with a list of 20 or more items, which tells me there are some issues that need to be fixed in the business. But my suggestion is that you keep your list fairly tight. And by tight, I mean limiting it to your top 6 to 8 irritants. These will likely cover over 80% of the frustrations that you have with your business or your customers are having when they're doing business with you. If we can resolve these big ones, the others will likely fall away naturally. Step 2 is going to be to convert this list from negative to positive. We don't want our standards to be set up using negative words. We want them to be more uplifting and inspiring. So here are a couple of examples to help make this more clear. If your frustration is, I hate it when people show up late, even a few minutes late, then you can convert this negative to positive by rewriting it perhaps like this. We consider on time to be at least 10 minutes prior to your shift start time at your workstation, ready for business. If your frustration is hearing the phone ring multiple times before being answered, the positive version may be something like, we will answer all phone calls before the 3rd ring to ensure our customers know that they are our number 1 priority. Once you convert each frustration into a positive statement, I'm pretty sure you're going to like how your list reads. It will paint a very positive picture of the kind of performance and customer experience you plan to deliver each and every day. But you're not done yet. Step 3 is to incorporate words, terminology, and concepts into your positive statements that represent your industry. Now, you may be scratching your head on this one a bit, but let me explain this one to you. It's a bit tricky, and it may not work for every industry, but I've found it to be a very clever way to create a memory hook for you and for your team members. To best explain it, let me share a couple of real-life examples from clients I've worked with on this. I have a client who's in the commercial building industry. They work with steel to make stairs, railings, gates, and other decorative steel components for commercial buildings. As we worked on their list of frustrations, we incorporated terminology that was regularly used in the industry, such as structural steel, solid foundation, squaring up, and rigid support. We use these as we define the positive attributes of our non-negotiables. Another client was a nonprofit that provided equine therapy to children with disabilities. Because everything they did centered around horse therapy, we focused on words that were common in the equine industry, words such as solid footing, unbridled passion, and reining in to describe our desired performance standards. I've worked this step 3 exercise with many industry, and it never fails. There are words and phrases commonly used in each industry that everyone's familiar with. These words can be incorporated into your positive statements as memory hooks for anyone who needs to remember them. Give this a try. If you get stuck, just reach out and we can work through it together. I find this to be both powerful and impactful, and I don't want you to miss this step. Step 4 is to post or publish your new performance standards list everywhere. And I mean everywhere. If you have a break room, it should be there. If you have a production area, the list should be mounted where everyone can see it. If you have a main conference room, this list should be prominent on the wall. This list should make its way into your newsletter. It should be stuffed into your paycheck envelopes if you still give out paper checks, and should be easily found on your website. While these performance standards are mainly for internal use, if done right, they'll be very inspiring to your customers and vendors to see them as well. Now, lastly, step 5 is to share your list often. Just as in step 4, these standards should be shared everywhere and continuously. I know business owners who share them at every all-hands meetings. Some incorporate the standards list into every daily startup meeting. They ask one person in the meeting to pick out one of their standards on the list, read it aloud, and share that particular standard and in terms of what it means to them personally. Then they get to pick the person who's going to do it the next day so that they can be thinking about what particular standard they're going to select. This way, everyone gets involved and soon everyone knows them by heart. There you have it, a simple 5-step process to create, publish, and distribute your very own performance standards, or as I call them, non-negotiables. So let me ask you, what would it be like in your business if you never had to see, hear, or experience the things that currently frustrates you out of your mind? How cool would it be if everyone on your team knew without question the 6 or 8 things that you absolutely will not tolerate? And if they not only knew what they were, but they knew exactly what you did want and expect from them. I'll bet that's the kind of business you dreamed about when you started your business years ago, or what business you're dreaming of when you bought the business some time ago, or what you desperately desire for your business right now today. It's all about making you proud to own the business and helping your team know with certainty what they must do to be successful in your business. So here's your assignment for this week. Set some time aside to work through the 5-step process I outlined. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You can always make it better, but there's no better time than right now to get this done and begin sharing it with your team. I hope that helps. If you've got specific questions about anything I shared today, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I'd be glad to help you work through any roadblocks and get you closer to a set of performance standards that works for you and serves your customers well. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss setting individuals up for success. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would just like to connect, shoot me an email at rich@tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourtoprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourtoprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.